Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to my recap of 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days, season 5, this time for real, episode 7, Never Have I Ever. If you guys are new to my channel, my name is Wah, and I do recaps of relationship reality TV shows such as 90 Day Fiancé, Love After Lockup, and Married at First Sight. If you are at all interested in joining the community, please subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and if you're not new to my channel and you'd like to leave your girl a little tip, all that information will be down in the description box. This episode was boring. Actually, there was an interesting thing that happened, but it happened to a couple that I will no longer be talking about, Caleb and Elena. So you guys have all heard the news of this week and last about some racist comments made by Elena once upon a time. When given the opportunity to apologize, she did, but in a way that still begged for her behavior to be excused or not really considered racism because she's Russian and doesn't understand how racism works. When giving an apology for something that you did in the past when you were ignorant, you need to actually just apologize and talk about how disgusted you were with your behavior back then. I now know going forward, or I know now and I'm really embarrassed this thing came up because it's not who I am today. Something along those lines, and she didn't do that. And then I saw this. It is a conversation where a person has said that the woke brigade or something to that effect is out here being sensitive, and that she knows and understands that Elena isn't racist, and Elena high-fived that situation, basically saying, "Thank you for your support." And so because of that sort of double down on the behavior, can't report on her anymore. But I will say that in this episode, Elijah's behavior...
Hey guys, this is Editing Wah, and I just want to add here that Elijah's behavior, not only was it creepy, but it was wildly inappropriate. And I am very shocked that he didn't come to any kind of physical harm, because had that been me and someone just deliberately walked into my bedroom to catch me having sex and then awkwardly stared at me across a table talking about how they liked doing that, no. And Elena just awkwardly laughs and doesn't call her friend out. She's trashed, her friend is trash, so throw the whole couple away.
I think that Caleb handled it well considering the situation. The sexual harassment, it wasn't for me. Okay, let's jump right into the first couple, Ella and Johnny. What is there to say besides the fact that Johnny is not going to come to the US? His visa got denied for Singapore, and I guess it's been a couple of weeks since that happened, and now they devised a new plan to have him fly into Dubai, because apparently China, Dubai, you don't need a visa, quarantine in Dubai for 14 days, and then take a flight to the US. Now, he already has his Dubai ticket ready to go. And I thought to myself, do these people just really have all this money to be spending on tickets, still deciding on whether or not they're gonna go? Don't you lose out money on that? So he has his ticket on standby, but he still isn't sure if he wants to come to the US because of the threat of coronavirus. Now, this is when the Delta variant had hit the US. And he says that if he goes to the US and gets sick, then he's going to go bankrupt trying to pay US medical bills, whereas if he got sick in China, the government would pay for it. And these are all very valid concerns, and Ella can't hear it. She just hears that this person doesn't want to fight for love, doesn't want to possibly get sick and die, and leave his parents and his child without financial support just to prove that he loves her. He doesn't want to risk getting it. And she's like, I don't understand. He has like a whole suit to travel in. He should be fine. We're safe here. And I said, no, Ella, you are not safe. He is going to your Idaho Falls. I haven't seen not nary a person with a mask on throughout any of the filming. So he's not even going to a state or to a city that is taking corona like precautions. Sure, there's some Idahoans who are just gonna come into the comment section and have a lot to say about their coronavirus safety protocols. But what I'm saying is that his fears are not unfounded. She has to understand that America is not the best with this pandemic. I just didn't like the conversation she was having with him, because she's basically saying, like, if you don't come here and if I don't get to meet you in person, then I'm gonna have to move on and find somebody else. And I said, then just move on, girl. But to like demand that he show his love by putting himself in danger just seems really petulant on your side. I get that you're tired of this relationship, but it is what it is, hun. He has family to think of. The next couple that we are going to talk about, who's next? The next couple that we're going to talk about is Hamza and Memphis. All right, in this segment, Hamza and Memphis are getting ready to go to the consulate in Tunis, which I guess is the capital. I haven't looked it up. He's like, baby, if we don't get a ride to the consulate, she says it's so weird. He's saying that if he can't get a taxi or one of his friends to take them, then they're gonna take the bus. And she's like, no, I'm not taking the bus. So you're gonna have to find a ride. She feels like he should have had all of this planned. And she's correct. If I were her, I would be annoyed with him. And I would know at this point that this is not a person that I can marry. Because if you can't make sure that everything and all of my experiences in your own country are good and prepared and, you know, thought out, then how am I gonna expect you to come back to my country and help me do anything? He gets his friend Yusuf to drive and he is so happy. And Yusuf has forgotten his insurance at home, so he can't go just yet. Now, I don't know what car they're driving. I'm confused because he says he's going to be gone for 5 minutes or 10 minutes in total, and he doesn't come back for another hour. And they're sitting in the back of what I assumed was his car. So I'm not sure if Yusuf has to rent a car every time he drives them around, because I feel like it was a different car than the car he picked them up in. And so therefore, in order to like take the car anywhere, he had to go get his insurance. And then, I don't know, girl, it took a long time. And so they're sitting in the car and she's pissed. And she's like, now we're not going to go. We're not going to make it. Because apparently the consulate is 2 hours away. Hamza decides that he's going to make it up to her and get a hotel in Tunis so that they can rest up at the hotel for the night. And then the next morning, go to the consulate. So on the drive there, she's really annoyed. They get out of the car once they make it to the hotel. He's like, oh, you tired, baby? And she's like, yes, I'm tired. What do you think? I just don't like the way she is. Girl, this is your first impression on this other human being that you're trying to marry, and this is the way you behave? He also feels like she nags too much, which lets me know that she's been nagging him about certain things that he hasn't done. And so all of these are red flags for the both of them. So they get to the hotel room and it is beautiful. And listen, my mood would have changed as well. They go down to the bar and get a drink, and then the "you're Muslim, do you drink, Hamza" conversation comes up. Hamza says that he rarely ever drinks, but he does on special occasions and with someone he likes, which warms Memphis's heartsicle. They're both very excited for sexy time because they haven't had sex since the 5-second hit it and quit it that happened on her very first night. And so he's thinking without his mom being there, they get to have long, all night sexy time. And I hope the best for them. So after they've gotten some drinks, they sit down to have a very, very serious conversation in broken English and bad translations, where she tells him that if they don't get married, then she's not going to continue the relationship. So he gets upset and he's like, what are you really here for? Are you here because you love me or because you love marriage? And she's like, no, I'm here because I want both. So if I can't have both, then I want neither. And he is like annoyed with her for that. And I'm like, what do you think y'all have been talking about this whole time? She thinks she's going to take you home, Hamza, so that you can be a husband and a father to her children, and you can be a supporting cast member in her life. The next couple that we are going to talk about, Kimbali and Usman. I do want to say that in the very beginning of this segment, they show us drone footage of a man climbing a very, very tall tree. This imagery feels racist to me. They like to call us monkeys, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then there's an image of a man climbing a tree. It's like, look what they do over here. Also dehumanizing folks of the African continent. I mean, it's great. It's an awesome skill, and it was like in general an awesome, cool thing to see. However, in the context of this show, it just felt weird. So there's that. Okay, so in this segment, these two are gonna go and have a day to themselves. After the shoot, all the pressure is off, and so it is just Kimberly and Usman time from here on out. And Kimberly takes this opportunity to really hammer out some details about this trip and her expectations. They go to a area called Stone Town, and the buildings were built 1,000 years ago. It's just like Old Town Tanzania. I love a touristy spot. All I want are souvenirs. I just loved every moment of it. And she convinces him to get a Michael Jackson fedora. He's like, Michael Jackson, everything is Michael Jackson with you. What? And he's like, I'm a Michael Jackson fan, but Kimberly, it's crazy. And I said, yeah, it is crazy. Get this fedora because it's like Michael Jackson in Smooth Criminal. He gets the hat and he does the Michael Jackson like thing, and she's like, ooh, now I'm gonna really want you. Don't do Michael Jackson. You're my King Africa Michael Jackson. He's like, oh, you're my Queen Kimberly. Kim tells us that she needs to have sex with Usman because she has to know if there's gonna be sexual chemistry. And I don't think that she's wrong. After they're done sightseeing, they go to sit down. It's nighttime now, and she wants to hammer out some details. So she says, well, then I think that you should give up your room to one of your crew and come and stay with me. Kimberly, we talked about this. What? And she says, yeah, I know we talked about it, but how are we supposed to get to know each other? Basically, he tells her, I told you I did not want to have sex until you and I figured out whether or not this relationship would even work. And she's like, well, how are we supposed to figure out whether or not this relationship is going to work unless we stay in the same room? You came here knowing that he did not want to do this, and now you're here pressuring him. If the genders were swapped, we would be looking at this dirty old 50-year-old something man wanting this younger woman to have sex with him, even though she already told him that there would be no sex and had separate rooms from this person. And then so she gets mad and she's like, fine, well then fine, whatever then. But you know what? That's what you want, and I agreed to it because it made you comfortable. But when are we gonna start talking about me and what makes me comfortable? Kimberly, girl, stop. Okay, you've gone too far. And then he says, I need you to respect my rules. And she's like, I need you to respect my rules. The rule of you coming and sleeping in my bed and us eventually having sex. And he's like, it feels like you just don't care about the relationship aspect of it. Like you are just okay with us having sex because if it doesn't work out, then at least you got to have sex with me. And she's like, what? No. And he's like, okay, well, that's what it feels like. Don't use me for my body. He's like, you are pissed. And she's like, no, I'm not pissed. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm not pissed. And he's like, yes, you are pissed. No, I'm not pissed. She's like, let's just go. Let's go back to the hotel. And then he says, okay, do you want me to put on my Michael Jackson hat? And she's like, I don't care what you do. And I'm like, girl, you were pissed, okay? You know you want to see him in that Michael Jackson hat. Give me your hand. And she's like, no, I don't want to hold your breath. She's like, give me your hand, Kimberly. Somehow on the way back to the hotel, she softens up, he finesses her, and she starts to feel a little bit better about the situation, and she begrudgingly walks to her room. Now, later on that evening, he somehow acquiesces and agrees to stay in the same room with her, but they will not be having sex. So he gets there, it's awkward, it's cringy when it's happening, and they get into the bed, and she again starts up with why do we have to have pillows in between us? Can't you just do this? I'm not gonna try to have sex with you. And I'm just like, this is so cringy and uncomfortable. It makes her look really salacious. She says that her and Usman don't have time for baby steps. I think what it is that she cannot come back to the continent in order to visit him again. So this is going to be one of their only opportunities to have sex or to be intimate. And she wants that intimacy before she leaves. It's like in the marketplace, she's not going to beg him for sex anymore. And then once he gets into her bed, she's there begging for sex again. We agreed because that's what you wanted. So then don't agree. I'm telling you, if the genders had changed, girl, we'd be up in arms. The next couple that we are going to talk about, Mahogany and Ben. Y'all, I have a picture of Mahogany, and the picture that is in the promos for this show is not the same as the person that we're seeing that Ben is showing us. In my mind, I feel like maybe we do end up meeting Mahogany at some point. Or at least maybe the producers do. Which is so interesting. So today's the day Ben is about to get on a flight and go to Peru. Him and Mahogany have been having conversation back and forth, but today, conversation has slowed down a bit. He says that he's built the strongest romantic and spiritual relationship that he's ever had. I mean, the disrespect to his wife. This person is delusional, okay? Ben is imagining that when he gets to the airport, he's gonna throw down his luggage and run towards Mahogany and grab her and hold her. And this is gonna be this like romantic meeting of two people in an airport, the way it is in the movies. And I said, this poor man, this poor naive man who's been catfished before by a man in Nigeria. It's so interesting how he's like, I know what I'm doing. He says that he has gotten 2 separate rooms in the hotel for him and Mahogany because he doesn't want to have sex with her. He wants to wait until marriage. God commends it. You know, God commends waiting until you get married. And that he believes that the best sex will happen after marriage. And sex is worth waiting for. Was he waiting to have sex with his ex that was 28 years old? So his son picks him up and takes him to the airport, and they're having a son-father talk, okay? Not a father-son talk. They're having a son-father talk because Ben is not a parent to this person. And this 19-year-old, his son, is having to like basically talk to Ben about the situation, remind him to be safe and don't get his kidneys snatched, because he's already been caught up by a catfish before. So please be careful, Dad. You know, just take all the precautions. And he's like, you know what, if I'm wrong, I'm willing to be so wrong, but I know I'm not wrong. And I feel so bad for him. I feel so bad for him. He's just delusional. He says that he has a freedom with Mahogany. I'm like, you've never talked to this person. Oh, she knows everything about me. She knows me to my core. No, she doesn't, because she has never lived with you. She doesn't really know you. She just knows who you think you are. So then he's sitting at the airport and Mahogany finally responds to him and says that her father doesn't trust his intentions. He's like, I don't want to come between her and her father. That's an important relationship. Like, as a parent, I understand that. But God really wants this for us. I know because he told me. So Ben has already tried to go to Lima to see her before. And I think he said 3 days before he was supposed to take flight, she told him not to come because it was her birthday and he wanted to meet her parents, but her parents went out of town on her birthday. So therefore, he didn't need to come to town because her parents weren't there. Which is such an interesting reason to tell somebody not to hop on a plane. So again, was the money wasted for the ticket? Maybe he got a refund. I hope he did. But this time he's like, nothing's gonna stop me. He's like, I respect the relationship between you and your father, but I'm getting on the plane. And he really expects her to be there. Next couple that we're going to talk about, Mike and Ximena. Oh, cochino. So we finally have the conversation that I have been waiting to hear. Mike and Ximena wake up and she had a really good sleep. Te amo. She's gonna go get some coffee, but he doesn't want to go. He needs to do some stuff around the hotel room. So she puts on a poncho and she goes and she has coffee in the morning by herself. It's beautiful. It's rainy. It just feels like a dream to me. She calls her sister and tells her sister that Mike is disgusting and he's done some pretty disgusting things around her thus far and she's not with it. That he's like a kid with his clothes. He just puts his clothes all over the place like he's not neat and tidy. He burps around her and he's farted around her. And we get some footage of him like letting out a burp at the dinner table in front of her dad. And then we already know that he farted on top of her while they were making out. And her sister says, you gotta tell him because those are important things in relationships, right? She gets in and she changes. They go to hang out by the fire. He's a little annoyed because he had something planned on that day, but the rain is gonna stop them from doing what they had planned. And so she then takes the time to tell him about how she's feeling about his hygiene. He is taken aback by this because he feels like, well, I'm not a hitman. I haven't been in prison. Like, I'm not abusive. So like, what's the big deal? And if we really love each other, then I should be able to be who I am. And I said to myself, Mike, you can be who you are. You just don't have to be disgusting. Now, if being disgusting is who you are, then she has a right to be like, no, I don't want that. Te amo. If you are okay with your significant other when you just have first met them, burping, and not just burping, like belching. It's one thing if you're like, because you have to, right? You can't stop that, but you don't need to be like, bleh. And then he's like, I didn't mean to fart on her. I'm like, we know you didn't mean to, but it's the fact is that you don't have like control over your like, I don't know, sphinx or like, well, I don't know what controls that, but you don't have control over that. It's not like he was laughing or jumping on a trampoline or outside. Like those are, you know, scenarios where it just happens. Like I get it. But on top of somebody making out, how does that part of your body even activate? Like I feel like that whole entire part of my body shuts down. And if it's acting up, then I'm like, I can't do this. I hate this idea that women should just accept people in their lives however that they come. Like, no, if something bothers you, if someone being super messy and not being aware of hygiene and being like a cochino, te amo. To me, that's wrapped up into hygiene and how you carry yourself. And to me, that's one of my 5. So I'm glad that she told him, and I hope that he takes it to heart and changes his ways. But I imagine that it would be hard for someone in their 30s who is a slob to kind of button all that up because he thinks it's okay. Te amo. The last couple that we're going to talk about, Gino and Jasmine. Gino's helping Jasmine choose an outfit for her divorce party, and he's a little hurt that he hasn't been invited, but she explains to him that it's just the girls, except Leo is there. And I'm like, Leo is not a girl. She needs help putting on her shoes, and she's trained him to get down and put her shoes on. Now, I understand why she needs help with the shoe. She's got long nails on. And it is easier if somebody were to come by and do that for her. But I just don't like this idea of her being like, come on, baby, you lay there, you sit there. Now you handle my foot. It's too tight. Now, I will say that shoe looks really good on her foot. Her friends have rented a room in the same hotel so she doesn't have to go far so that they could have a good old time. She leaves Gino sad in their apartment. And he's just like, well, I guess I'll pack. I gotta go to the island in Panama. They're drinking. She's talking about how much sex that they've had. And he's used to having boring vanilla sex. And that she's introduced him to something new and wild. She talks about her blow up and how upset she got the other day. She also mentions that he actually came to see her during a pandemic. And so we think that at that point she's starting to recognize like that he did do something for her. Then her friends have a stripper come. And this stripper has got all of the moves, okay? Just a lot of moves in and out of one's face. She's like, it's a stripper, it's not bad. But I really think that she's doing this to get back at Gino somehow. She's engaging in this to get back at him because she knows full well if Gino were to have a stripper, she'd be pissed. So her friends take video of it, as you would, and then they're all drinking champagne, so they decide to go to Gino's room to involve him in the party. Stripper leaves, they leave, and then one of the friends shows Gino a video of the stripper all up in or on Jasmine's face. He gets upset. And they're like, Gino, you mad? Don't be mad. Mad? No, no mad. No, fun. Ha 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 ha. You just kind of see his face go from smiling and like awkward to like not smiling and a lot of swallowing spit. So one of the friends is like, his face is turning red. Let's get out of here. So the friends leave and Gino says, why would you do that? Why would your friend show me that video? At least could have been kept secret and private. And I 100% agree. Like, I feel like the friend did that just to start problems and to have controversy. Like, it was definitely unnecessary. He could have gone without that information and or seeing the video of it. So she's like, it's not bad, baby. It's not bad. How would you like it if some hot, sexy babes put their vagina in my face? But Gino, it's just a stripper. It's a guy who has a job. You know, this is his occupation. Jasmine, I don't like that. And so then she's like, I'm sorry. And I said, ugh, it was just so manipulative. I don't like him. I'm only in love with you. Why didn't you cry and storm off the way she would have, Gino? Also, you guys, why won't Jasmine comb her hair? That like she has like pieces that are here and then this long, why won't she comb it? I get that it's like not her hair, but you cannot comb that? You cannot make it blend? Is there not tutorials on YouTube about how to do it? All right, you guys, so that's the end of the episode. Please let me know what you thought of down below. Guys, I tried to make this video funny, but like I didn't have it in me, so I do apologize. I hope that you guys will join me next week talking about episode 8 of 90 Day Fiancé. I'm gonna go live this week to talk about Love After Lockup, and hopefully I can fit Married at First Sight in. I have not been able to, and we're 3 episodes in, and don't worry, I'm ashamed of myself. If you like what you saw, please leave a tip down below. Otherwise, y'all have a fantastic week. And remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye.